Hello, my friends. Good morning, my radical radiant ladies. Hello. As you're coming on, say hello. It doesn't matter at what point you're in, but just say hello. If you're popping in and out, that's cool too. Say hi. If you're watching the replay, please hashtag replay for me so that I know that you watch it on the replay. And make sure that even if you are watching it on the replay, that doesn't mean to not engage, right? Because if you drop questions, you drop comments, things like that, I still see all of it and I can still respond and get back to you and um, give you feedback, answer questions, all the things, right? So if you're watching this on replay, one, I love you, and two, just get involved, okay? Don't ever hesitate to get involved in the comments here. I truly appreciate it when you do because it just gives me more to go off of. And part of my voice, it's still kind of early and I'm getting over being sick and it's a little raspy, so my apologies. I'm going to be drinking my coffee and as I go and things like that. Um, I was saying to check your internet, so I'm hoping that internet is keeping up and keeping pace. Um, Fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed, my friends. Let's see. We don't need this open at the moment. I'm going to try to close some things in hopes that that will kind of help with that. We don't need that. We don't need that. So just get a moment. Just trying to give a few moments just for everyone who wanted to pop on live to come in and get in. So just say hello. Let me know what you're excited about. So this class, right? Um, when I started sharing about it, we're talking about accepting while creating. So I would love to know your thoughts on that. Um, because sometimes when we resist, we keep ourselves stuck. And we're going to get into this and we're going to dive deeper into this. Um, but I would love your thoughts. What you're thinking. What do you think when you hear that? Right? Um, what do you think of when we say, if you weren't fighting so hard, you'd be getting further, right? Because sometimes we feel like we have to battle. And I wore my Winning the Battle t shirt today on purpose, right? So I would love to know your thoughts, what you're thinking, how you feel about this. And as we're welcoming everyone in, um, I'm going to try to drop it down below. What is one thing? It says commented. Oh, on a photo. Okay. Um, what do you think of when I say resisting? Oh, you're back. Okay, great. I'm glad you're back. um, right? So when we talk about if you stop resisting, it wouldn't be so hard, right? If we stop fighting the fight, right, it wouldn't be so hard. Um, I hear this a lot because um, what I hear from clients is that they're just stuck and they don't know where to start. And it's hard. It is hard. All the things are hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I get it. Life is hard. It can be hard. Absolutely. Right? And at the same time, while it's hard, the more we repeat that, the more we get back of it. Hi. What do you need? My doggy. Um, what's up, sweetheart? Wanna go out? The more we repeat that it's hard, right? We get back what we give. So if we're constantly saying it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, our brain and the world and just how things work is going to say, okay, it's hard. Here's the hard things. Here are the hard things. And I want to give a visual. Let me see if, let me let my dog out so she's not harassing me. Let me see if I have a visual. Go ahead, baby. No, I don't know if that would work. Well, not that this would necessarily be my ideal example. However, I feel like it will give the example. So, when we think about, let's say when you're, I want you to visualize playing tug of war. All right, just take a moment and just visualize playing tug of war. And imagine, imagine your hands on the ropes, right? And when you're playing tug of war, you're going back and forth. It's hard, right? It's a struggle. You're fighting, you're resisting being pulled forward, right? You're pulling back. And sometimes what we'll do, and I even do this when I'm walking my dog, right, to get a better grip, but sometimes it's actually doesn't work out in my favor like I thought it would because my dog is really strong and my right arm, I hurt like 2 years ago now, and if I can't hold her with this arm because if I do and I wrap the leash and she pulls that arm, it's a bad situation. So I want you to think of, and you can think of, I guess, like walking your dog, right? If you have a dog, um, but that tug of war motion, and just really that pull with the rope, right? I want you to just visualize your hands holding that rope, and getting anything that you want, creating anything that you want, right? And your hand being on this end because it's us, right? It begins with us, and imagine wrapping it, right? I don't have a rope. I don't have a string. I'm like, I don't think that would necessarily work. Maybe it'll be easier to see that. Let me try that. Let me move my cross. Hold on. Amen. Thank you. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay, so I have this beautiful gem over in the corner, and I love it. And I honestly don't even remember what it is or what it's for. While I love that world, I'm not the most knowledgeable in that area. However, you can see this string a little bit better than the chain from the jewelry that I was holding. So just for this visual, okay, I want you to imagine like you're playing that tug of rope or you're walking your dog, right? Or if you wrap it, right? You wrap. And there are visuals, I could drop a visual too, as far as like, I'm sure I can find something. When we start to wrap, if I just do one finger, what happens to my finger when I do this? And I would love if you're watching, right, and you've seen this on the replay, if you're watching live, when you wrap your hand around, right, you tie something around your finger, what happens to it? If y'all can see, I don't know if you can see that, right? See how the top of it's getting like red and purple? Should have drew a face on it, right? Like swimming against the current instead of trusting the flow. Yes, absolutely. Love that. And you know, Susan, you know I love me some water references, okay? Like I'm a water sign, I'm a fish, like water all day, my friend. So thank you for the water reference. Yes. And the reason I don't do that, um, current, I just want to write it down because I like it. Current, flow, right? I just love any water reference. But there's a reason I didn't specifically use that. And because when we're swimming against the current, right, it doesn't necessarily show the stronghold that I'm looking for, right? When we tie something around it, right, you see how the head is getting, the tip of my finger is getting purple and red. And it's not going to work so well, right? And if I were to do anything in this type of situation, if this was me and I had little hands, hello. If this was me and I was wrapped up like this in my stress, in my anxiety, right? In my denial, in my shame, in my anger, if I was wrapped up in all of this and I let it choke me, essentially, if I let it wrap up my whole body, doing anything is going to be hard, right? It's hard. It's so hard. Oh my God, it's so hard, right? I get it. Life is hard, right? It's hard to do it. It's hard to carry more when you're stressed, right? It's hard to carry more when you're wrapped up and you're essentially like this image that I found online at some point, and it stuck with me because I was like, ooh, you think of like that tug of war, that wrap. So wrapping the rope around your arm and your hand is getting red. And now, because you've been doing this and holding on to this for so long, not only is it red and irritated and stressed, now it's bleeding. Now it's really like, now the rope is becoming a part of the hand, right? And your hand's kind of trying to heal over it, but it can't, right? It's trying to heal, but it can't. It's trying to get the rope out, but it can't, right? And this accepting while creating. We're trying to create new while we're resisting what's going on here, right? We're carrying so much with us now and expecting us to be able to hold all of that and more as we get to the future. You're going to drop it, right? So that image If you're just coming on, say hello. I'd love to see who's coming on and saying hi, because we're kind of like in the middle of just like the introduction um, of this beautiful imagery that I'm giving everybody as you're hopping on here, right? Think of a rope wrapped around your hand, and it's bleeding, and it's red, and it's hard, and it hurts, right? You're cutting off the blood flow, right? And your body's trying to heal. It's trying to fix it, but the rope is getting tighter because you keep pulling, right? Because you're like, no, I have to keep doing. I have to keep pressing on. I have to keep impressing people. I have to keep getting more. I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing this. And the rope just keeps tightening and the rope keeps embedding, right? And at some point, you realize that your hand is cut off from the rest of you, right? Your hand can't do what it needs to do anymore because it's wrapped up in these chains, in this rope, in this stronghold. And then we wonder, well, why won't you just stretch out? Why won't you write? Why won't you look pretty? Why won't you do what you're supposed to do? Why won't you do what you should? You should look prettier. Why don't you look prettier? But we don't think to unwrap the rope, to tend to the wound, to heal it, to nurture it back to good health. We just skip that part and expect it to just be pretty again. So this is this imagery that I want. I know it might be extreme, but hey, y'all, we are not here to play games. We are here to change our lives, my friends, right? So today, while we're thinking of this accepting while creating, we're going to address a few different things, right? And I want y'all to think about what's one thing that's you're currently working on accepting in your life, but it's been hard. It's been hard. And I get it. It's hard. And what we'll be doing is looking at just a few different ways that we can look at this, and I'm giving you guys some questions to really think of, right? And we're going to talk about a few different pieces here to deepen this for you. And we're going to use my basis, the I am framework, because everything starts with who we are. I am, right? I am, right? That balance of acceptance and creation, right? By deepening our awareness, shifting our habits, and strengthening our mindset. We're always applying the frameworks to the concepts. So I welcome you all in, and I'm glad that you're here. And I know that that was kind of like maybe a very vivid intro. However, we're here now, right? So you can imagine why resisting and wrapping ourselves in that. Now, if you take that imagery that we talked about, I just showed you, right? That wrapping. If I take that and apply that same concept to resisting my current reality, my current place and status and achievements and goals and all the things, problems that I'm dealing with, we don't have to wonder why we're stuck. Because that hand can't do anything in that situation, right? It's cut off from the blood flow, right? It's resisting the current, right? It's not getting the healing that it needs. It's not getting the flow, the blood flow. It's not getting what it needs in order to do the thing. So why resisting your current reality keeps you stuck is because you're cut off from the things that you need. Because you're so busy focused on, but why? It hurts, it's bleeding, but why? It hurts, it's bleeding, but why? It's hurt, it's bleeding. And we carry that stuff with us. And this is really the beauty of the power of acceptance. Because acceptance isn't for other people. Acceptance is for ourselves. I don't accept things to appease other people. I don't accept things in my life to make things easier for other people, right? We're not people pleasing here. We're also, one of the misconceptions that I would like to bring up about this as we're moving into this, okay? And this is probably a little before where I should, but I get excited. We have this misconception right? That accepting means settling. And acceptance does not mean settling. Acceptance doesn't mean settling. It also does not mean that you've chosen it, right? So that you should feel guilty about something. Accepting does not mean that you approve of what's happening. Very big difference. Time to let go, recognize the detrimental effects if you keep holding on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Because a lot of people, well, she just accepted it. How am I supposed to accept something like this? No, and we're resisting the acceptance. The resistance, right? You're a Star Wars fan, right? We accept it. And because we have this skewed idea of what acceptance is, the beautiful thing about our world is that it includes duality, where more than one thing gets to be true at a time. Whether that be a belief, a belief, a truth, a fact, right? Like lies, there gets to be so much feelings. Duality is beautiful, but duality is what makes life so hard because it's all happening at once. It's not a one or another kind of thing. And we're going to talk about this today. But misconception of acceptance is that if I accept it, it means that I've settled. If I've accepted it, that means that I'm making it okay for whatever they might have done. It means that I'm approving of what they did. It means that I chose this in some way or shape or form. And that is not what we're saying at all. Because you might not have chose it. And you might not have chosen it again, and you might not approve of what happened, and you might not even want what happened to happen. And that doesn't make what happened okay, and it doesn't mean we're settling and just saying, okay, well, that's it then. I guess that's just how it is. It's not what any of this means. So why we are creating this new, beautiful dream that we have for ourselves and this new vision, right? Everyone's like, make the vision board. We're resisting because our current reality doesn't reflect that. And it keeps us stuck because we're too busy looking around at the rope. We're too busy looking around at here and saying, well, no, I don't have it yet. It's not here yet. Right? It's not accepting. It's denying. It's living in scarcity, living in lack. Not really acknowledging what our true experience is. And our brain is a beautiful, beautiful, powerful thing. And it can create all kinds of stories just from that thought. Well, it's not here yet. I don't see it. I have the vision board, but ain't nothing changing. Things take time. Right? We had a group session for our Resilience Rising last night, and in it I said it's a life haul, right? Like you think about U-Haul when you're moving, right? You rent a truck and you move. This is a life haul, my friends. We're doing this over a lifetime, right? Beyonce didn't become Beyonce overnight. It took a lifetime. She's been in her world for what, 30 years now doing this? She started with a group of women, right? She wasn't Beyonce then. I mean, maybe she was Beyonce, technically the name, right? But she wasn't who she is now. It takes time. We get impatient and we don't accept. And when we don't accept and we resist, we're just keeping ourselves stuck. Because if you think about it, if you're constantly trying to push things away, if I'm trying to constantly push this wall away and resist what's happening, resisting what's happening, how can I be over here working on the good thing? How can I be over here planting and creating and dreaming and making? But I'm over here. No, no, no. I don't want any more of this. None of this looks like how I want it. I'm such a horrible person because I'm over here trying to hold the wall. I don't have time to get over there. It's too hard. I can't do both. And we can see why we get stuck. We get stuck in the mud of our past. We get stuck in the mud of our expectation. We get stuck in the mud of our own resistance. So when we accept and say, you know what? I don't have to hold up the wall because the wall is a wall and it's going to do that on its own. I don't got to bang my head up against the wall. I got to turn around and look in the room and say, what a beautiful room. What can I do in this room? The wall's going to hold itself up. Right? The dream, the vision, it's there. We've created it. It's there. It's not going nowhere. It's not going to just disappear just because you take down the vision boards. It's not going to just disappear because today you worked on one thing and not the whole entire vision. Acceptance doesn't mean that we're settling. Accepting that I'm not the one who has to hold the wall up doesn't mean the wall's going to fall. Doesn't mean that I approve of how it's being held up. Maybe it's being held up by some shady things. I'm like, how is that even standing right now? I don't know, but it's standing. That's not my problem. That's not my problem is not to figure out how it's standing. Right? It doesn't need my approval. And I'm not choosing to hold this wall up anymore. Right? I'm just accepting that there's a wall and it's on its own and I don't got to figure it out. And there's just a wall there. But I'm also going to accept that while there's a wall there, there's also a whole room behind me. Because true change starts with awareness. If we don't see where we are clearly, if I'm too close to the wall and I can't see clearly, we resist reality. We pretend like back here is not happening. Right? We either resist that reality or we move blindly without intention. Right? We're just trying to hold up the wall in different ways. But I can't get so far away from the wall to really see what's a better way to do it. So I'm just kind of holding up against it and I'm putting on the pressure and I'm building up the blood, right? The wrap. I'm building it up and it's getting hard. So instead of resisting our reality and moving blindly with intention, awareness is the foundation that allows us to transform and say, I don't have to hold the wall up. It's fine on its own. Whew, what is all of this? And we get to look at the realities and look at the things around us with a new light. Because I'm not putting all of my intention and resistance over here. So I want you to think about, what are you currently resisting? What am I, let me drop this in the chat for you, because I wrote it out all nice to make it highlight for myself. So we might as well put it in there for y'all, okay? So the prompt that I have for you, what I want you to think about, and just in this moment, right, is where am I currently resisting my reality? What emotions come up when I think about accepting it as it is? If I don't go through, I won't get to. If I don't go through, I won't get to. No. Right? So just imagine a door. I love visuals, y'all. I'm a creative person. I'm an artsy person. I love visuals, right? And this visualization of like a door frame has come up to me many and many a time. So imagine a door is closed. You're standing on the one side of this door, just a door frame, right, with a door. And you're so close to the door and you're trying to look through the people and you're trying to see what's going to happen next and how it all works and what's going on the other side. When you really could just open the door and open it and move through it. But no, don't touch it. I'm looking. Right? It's like our resistance. We're trying to see what's on the other side. But we're too close to step back and just grab the knob and do something and turn the knob and walk through the door. And experience something different. So I want you to think about this, and I would love for you to drop it in the chat as you're thinking about this on replay or live. What are you currently, where, I'm like, I keep reading it in your text context. Where am I currently resisting my reality? And when I think of accepting that, it's not going to be pleasant, y'all. It might not be pleasant. Where am I currently resisting my reality? My reality is that I have an office that I really don't like. Right? It's small. Most of it is stairs. It's like the outdoor, the bathroom, the lighting. There's not a lot of room. I could definitely let all of these things stop me from showing up here today. And when I think about accepting it, I'm like, okay, I have to accept it, but I can accept it, but put your butts out. Put your butts away. I can accept it, but I don't like it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to accept it, right? As far as like approving it. It doesn't mean that you have to like it. As we talk about acceptance, doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean approving. It doesn't mean choosing. It doesn't mean liking it either. However, it's our current reality. And the more we resist it in any way, shape, or form, the more energy we put behind that resistance. And then there's negative emotions that's associated with it. So that second piece of it is what emotions come up when I think about accepting it as it is. And I'm like, if I accept this as it is, makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Makes me feel a little frustrated. Be honest with yourself and speak out the emotions. Because what you don't reveal, you don't heal. And you can't truly raise your awareness about a situation if you're just using the same word over and over again. You're not getting deep enough. You're staying surface level. So it makes me a little uncomfortable. It makes me a little frustrated because I'm sick of being in this office. I wish I had more room. I wish I had better lighting. I wish I had this. I wish I had this. And we're going to talk about all these pieces. And that moves us into this next piece perfectly, actually. Because our mindset and our perception, our perspective, right, shifts everything. So a big piece of this accepting while we're creating is learning how to really hold the space for both gratitude for now and the desire for more. The curiosity, the imagination. And I remember for so long, so much of my beginning of my journey, when my anxiety and my depression were at like an all-time high. And if you've ever been stressed out or in a low, you know that people will go to you. And it's a typical go-to thing from people. They'll be like, you should just be grateful. I hated when people told me that. I'm like, I am. I would get so mad because they weren't actually hearing me, right? And that's a whole different conversation. They weren't actually hearing me. But I also wasn't hearing me. I was grateful. But it had to go deeper. And I had to go through those trenches and those storms and those realizations to realize that while I was grateful, it's a whole nother level of gratitude. And I'm grateful, but those buts. We gotta put our butts away and take out the word and. So notice how I said we need to be able to be grateful for our now moments and our now reality and the desire for more. And is that key concept. It gets to be an and. Yes, and. Right? It gets to be a yes, and I want this. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with desiring more, for wanting to be different, for wanting to expand, for wanting to learn more and gain more tools and gain more knowledge. There's nothing wrong with that. But we have this innate sense of guilt. I am grateful. You think I'm not grateful? Now I feel guilty for not feeling grateful. And this is like not how this works, my friends. This is just part of the cycle. Because those people telling you to just be grateful, just get over it and be grateful, aren't truly hearing you. So maybe you need some new people in your life. Right? But it also doesn't have to be an or. A lot of the times when we think about accepting our lives the way they are and creating a new life, or wanting more, but being happy with what we have, it's this or this. I don't get to have both. But life is literally duality. Both is always available to us, negative and positive, good and bad. Lies, truth, more than one truth. More than one truth can be someone's truth. And they can have their truth, and they can have their truth. And all three truths are true at the same time. And I get to be grateful and want more. And I get to be happy and desire a happier life. And that doesn't make me a bad person. And it doesn't make me not grateful now. But there's different levels to this. And if you imagine a staircase in a building, when we went to North Carolina the first time back in March, almost a year ago now, oh my goodness, the fire alarm got pulled at our building at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was in the middle of getting ready for like my big studio day, and the alarm, my boys wake up, and they're like, what do we do? We go out to the elevator. Obviously, if there's a fire, elevator shut down. I was like, okay, stairs, let's go. We're on the 22nd floor, y'all. I was exhausted. Going down is much easier. Going down, just follow me here. Going down is easier than going up, isn't it? We can go down that spiral of negativity very quickly, can't we? I can fly downstairs even at my age. I can get down them real quick. Let's imagine I'm not falling and busting my face and rolling, right? But I can still get downstairs pretty quick. And you can go down very fast. That spiral, that hole, that darkness. And I kept looking down, and I'm like, we got 22 floors to go. Okay, we're going down, we're going down, we're going down, we're going down. My son's, but wait, but when, but what door, but where do we go, but where do we do this? And I'm like, just keep going. Don't worry about the doors and the unlocked doors. Don't worry about all these locked doors. People are coming in from the doors as we're going down. Don't worry about them. Keep going. We stop and we're concerned with everyone else and the locked door and how are we going to do that? How am I going to get to the first floor? You're going to just keep taking steps down and going down. And you can get down very quickly if you're not careful. You can very quickly slip and fall, can't you? And then you begin rolling. And just like momentum in any essence is something we typically want, depending on what direction it's going, can be bad or good. I can bust my ass and I can start rolling down those stairs, and that's not really a good momentum that I want to have. And I can spiral very quickly into that negativity and that dark, dark, sad place. And going up those stairs, it's not going to be easy. You know it's not. Because if anyone's ever gone upstairs before, you know that after a few, depending on your age and your physicality and all the things, you get up one flight and you're like, whew, that was fun. Okay. 21 more flights? Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this at all. But you're going to take a step. You're going to get to the next flight, and you might be breathing a little heavier. But if your life depends on it, and it does, you're going to go up the next flight, and you're going to try to unlock that door. But you've already been in that door. You don't want to go on flight 3 because you're at flight 22. Don't worry about that locked door. Keep going. It's not going to be easy. Keep taking the steps, right? I get to be tired and move. I get to be really exhausted and want to stop here. And I get to also want a desire to be at the top. I'm not mad at myself for that. I'm not guilting myself because I want to be at the rooftop party. I get to be grateful that I've made it up 3 steps without passing out, 3 flights without passing out, and I want to go 10 more. And sometimes I gotta take a break and I gotta breathe and I gotta drink some water and I gotta tell the child to be quiet because 22 flights of stairs while he's asking 1,000 questions and I'm trying to breathe becomes a lot. Right? So, how to hold space when we're grateful for where we are and we desire to be more. And it's not so easy going up the steps. I wish I was up there. I wish I was further along. I wish. There's something wrong with wish. A dream is a wish your heart makes. It's great. Thanks, Disney. Don't get me in trouble. Please don't fire me or come after me for that. Like Disney can fire me like I work for them. Anyway, copyrights are scary. Disney is scary. They have a lot of money. A wish. I wish I should have been further. I wish I could be further. I should have been further. I wish I should have. I could have. And we automatically start guilting and shaming ourselves, and we have to reframe these things. So I want you to think about, of course, thanks for the office example. I accept the look of the cabin means in my head some piece of me settles. Yeah. Settling is easy, isn't it? I think of the early day settlers. They settled. They settled into a spot because it was too hard for them to travel miles when they had no idea what to expect. It's not an easy journey. They settled, and they're the settlers. And they made a beautiful place where they are. But it comes with its good and it comes with its bad, right? But this constant resisting of where we're at. I'm not on the third flight. I'm not here. I'm trying to unlock doors that don't unlock. I'm looking up. I'm looking down. I'm not here. Why am I here? What's happening? What's going on with the fire alarm? We're just not even doing anything. Am I getting anywhere in that point? If I'm in that stairwell and I'm just freaking out and pretending like this situation isn't happening, or I'm letting the emotions drive my concerns, and I'm thinking about what could happen and how to unlock doors that are locked, and banging my head up against this wall and looking up and looking down and not focusing, and I'm too close and I'm not stepping back, you can tell just that what that energy creates, can't you? You can feel it. I'm like, ugh. I wish I was up there. But I'm not going to get there by wishing it. I'm resisting. And that emotion is keeping me on that flight, just sitting there, circling. And then I panic and I freak out. Maybe I lose my step and I fall down a flight of stairs. That sucks. Well, the imagery today is very vivid. I'm so sorry. And then you get down there and you're like, why? Why did this happen? Right? We got to stop to breathe. We got to say, okay. Right? If you came to the Resilient Reset Challenge, you know that belly breathing is going to fill your body with oxygen. And it gives you what you need to take the moment, take the breath. 4, 7, 8, right? Remind yourself that you're safe. 4, 7, 8, peace. You can do whichever one. You know, breathe in for 4, hold for 7. And breathe out for 8. Breathe the word peace. Breathe the word acceptance. Spell it out. I'm like ACCEPT. Maybe don't spell it out. It's up to you. Right? Whatever works for you. Take that breath and notice, oh, I'm on flight 3. That door's locked. I can't go that way. I can't go down because that's where the fire is. I gotta go up. It's not gonna be fun. My knees kind of hurt. But I gotta take a step. And I'm not gonna fly up those stairs as fast as I ran down them, because I can only see so far, right? I can only see so much of the flight. Once it turns, you can't see any more of there, because that's not your job. You're not thinking about going up the flight of stairs at flight 10. Because if you're thinking about what it's going to look like up there, you're going to bust your ass on the 3rd. Right? So as you're moving, instead of saying, I wish I was on floor 10, I'm learning how to step and focus where I'm at in the moment. And when I get there, I get there. So we reframe it. Because we can wish, should, could all day long. We can should on ourselves, we can could on ourselves, and we can wish and dream and hope all day. And don't get me wrong, I have faith, strong faith. But faith and wishing are very different things. I wish I was up there is like the genie in a bottle. I have faith that I will get there is very different. Because I know that I will take steps. And I trust that the steps will be there when I get there. Very different. So instead of I wish I was further along, I wish I was on flight 10, it's I'm learning to step in time now. I'm learning and growing every day, every step of my life. And that's beautiful. And I will get to flight 10 when I'm at flight 10. And when I'm there, I will celebrate that I got there. And then I'll want to go up 2 more flights to the rooftop, and that's okay too. It gets to be a yes and. I'm at here and I want to be at the next flight. But that doesn't mean we have to fill it with the shoulds and the coulds and the resistance and the pain and the hard. Our mindset and our perspective is what allows us to hold this balance. This is where the framework comes in. I am framework, right? Or our mindset is what allows us to hold the balance at the same time of I'm going up a few flights of stairs, and maybe I have a flashlight so I can see a few extra up the way, but I'm stepping and I'm stepping and I'm stepping, and now I'm on flight 2. And I know that flight 10's up there because if I go like this, I can see it. I know it's there. We'll get there. And I'm learning and I'm stepping and I'm growing and I'm getting stronger. And I'm breathing and I'm drinking my water and I'm taking breaks along the way and I'm stepping and I'm growing. Our mindset is what allows us to hold the balance, hold the vision of the rooftop party as we're moving. While we're accepting, while we're creating. We accept our reality of where we're at and still take intentional action toward something better. So I'll say that all as at once. Our mindset, our perspective is what allows us to hold the balance of acceptance, right? We accept our reality and still intentionally take action toward something better. It gets to be a yes and. Yes and I like this pen. And I like this flamingo. And I love my avocado pen. My son got me these. And I want to drink some coffee. And I want to teach this class. And I want to teach more classes. And I want to help people. And I want to do this. And I'm not going to do it all here right now. Because if you notice, my hands got very quickly full, very quick, and then I dropped it all. I dropped the pen. Don't tell my son. He knows I love avocados. One of my old mentors used an avocado reference, and I don't even remember the reference at this point, but my son knows I love them. They're also delicious. He got me a little pen from his school store. He spent 25 cents on this. He spent all he had on this for me. I love this pen. I don't know how to use the pen. Don't tell him that either. Like, do you press the avocado? How do you get it to go back in? I don't know. He's going to have to do it for me. Maybe another color? There we go. Okay. Anyway. So I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. I honestly hate that saying. I think there was someone that I watched. No, don't get me wrong. I love Tony Robbins and I love his people. But there was one guy, and he's an amazing person, but he said it way too much. You ever have someone who says the same saying all the time, maybe a boss or a parent or someone? Just be grateful. Are you getting what I'm picking up what I'm putting down? Right? Like they use that same sentence to the point where it's like, do you even know what you're saying anymore? Right? Anyway, I digress. Anyway, I love the imagery. I think in pictures. Me too. I'm a big picture person. I'm a big visual person. Right? But you notice how very quickly as I yes and, and that's okay. But maybe I need a backpack, right? To throw all those yes ands in. Maybe yes and gets to be the vision board, right? I have a vision board. Here, I'll grab it. Oh, I have a multiple. It's gonna fall over the place. Let's see. So, okay, there we go. You can see it. There you go. You can kind of see it. I'm trying to look at my, oh yeah, you can see the car that I want. All right. Places I want to go, the house I want to go, the place I want to visit. You can kind of see all of it. Okay, just as a vision, right? I get to want all of these, and I get to love where I am right now. And I get to love that I currently don't have this Audi. It's a beautiful convertible Audi wrapped in a Galaxy's paint. Oh, it's beautiful. It's my vision. I get to want this and love my little Hyundai Elantra Sport that I have. I love my car. It's so cute. It's so sporty, manual car. It's so fun to drive. I get to love my current reality and want more. Nothing wrong with that. But when I say I'm so bad because I'm not grateful for what I have and I want more and I want more and I want more. There's a very big difference between focusing and filling your voids with more and desiring something better for your life. Boom. Okay? Before I digress, because we're getting on time. Oh my goodness, I just get so excited about this stuff. Okay, so it gets to be a yes and, right? I wish for this, yes. I wish I was further along, but I'm not. Right? So drop yours in the below. What's your I wish, I should, I could? Drop those in the comments. Because if we can reframe them, I want y'all to reframe some of these now. Take one, think of one, and reframe it now. Even if we just add to it. I wish I was further along. And I also know that I'm learning and growing every day, and it's going to take time. You can feel the difference in that frequency right away. You can feel the difference in the vibe, okay, if you're not a whole frequency person, right? You can feel the difference in the feel of that saying. I wish I was further along, but I can't. I can't. Oh my God, I can't. It's horrible. This sucks and blah. And I have an animal thing under here and the door is right there and bah. Right? We shoot it down and we make it negative so quickly. And you can feel the difference in the vibe. I accentuate it, but you feel it. You know you do. So drop them in the below. Drop them in the below. Drop yours in the below. In the below. In the below. In the below space. We're just going to roll with it. In the comments, drop it. Right? Your statements. How can you reframe that? If I don't see any in the comments and things, I'll move forward. But I would love to be able to. Right? So think of this. And there's like the prompt for it. Right? Here, I'll put the prompt in for you so you have it. Okay? So what is one belief that holds you back and makes it hard for you to accept your current situation? And how can you reframe it? I put the prompt in the context so that you can ask yourself the question, right? So if I'm reading it, it's what is one belief I hold that makes it hard for me to accept my current situation? And how can I reframe it? Maybe if you're in business, one belief that I hold is that if I ask people to work with me, they're going to think I'm sleazy. And I can reframe that as if I don't invite them to work with me, I keep the opportunity for them to change away from them. Could I not invite them to work with me? If I have tools that I know can help them, how dare I hold that back? See how quickly that feels? Very different. Just an example. What's yours? And I love this. I'm glad you're loving this. All right. So it gets to be a yes and I got super excited, clearly, right? But it's a beautiful thing when we learn to accept our current reality. I am so grateful for what I have. Do I like living in a mother-daughter house with my in-laws? No, I don't. I'll be honest. No. Nope. That's a hard no. Don't like it. But we talked about this, right? My notes. Talked about this. Acceptance does not mean approval, liking, settling, choosing, right? Do I like living in a mother-daughter house? Of mother-daughter houses, two houses when they're combined? Am I grateful? Absolutely, because there's so many reasons, right? There's so many reasons that I get to be grateful for it. But do I love having them next door? Not always. Do I love knowing they can hear some of our conversations and our moments and all our things? No. Do I love hearing their little dogs? I love animals, but little dogs are not, I'm not a fan of little dogs, I'm going to be honest. I love them. I just don't want them in my experience. Right? But I get to be so grateful for that fact that I have a home, that I have a roof over my head, while also not liking every moment of it. That's okay too. And I don't have to guilt myself for that. I don't have to feel bad about that. I don't have to feel bad for wanting more for my family. Be grateful for what you have. I am grateful. And I also want more for myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes we've gotten shamed on for that. How dare you? These millennials, they're so ungrateful. But aren't they too? Right? I'm not going to get into that, but there's so much we can go into in this. But let's keep moving, okay? So think about that second journal prompt, right? What is that belief that's making it hard for you to accept? That it's not easy? That you don't like it? I didn't choose to be assaulted. Did not make that choice. Did not like that choice. I'm not settling in any way. But I'm accepting that the experience happened. The situation in itself is neutral. It's not a good situation. Maybe a bad example for that one, right? I'm not saying that it's okay what happened to me. I'm not saying that it's okay that those men made those decisions and hurt me very badly. I'm not accepting that, right? They don't get my seal of approval. I didn't choose it. I didn't like it. I would never choose it again. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But I am accepting that it is a part of my past. And in that moment, it did happen. And in that moment, are there things I could have done differently? Yep. Are there things they could have done differently? Yep. Are there things that people around us could have noticed and done differently? Yep. Did that happen differently? Nope. Did what happened happen? Yes. Can I change it? No. Can I accept it? Yes. It happened. I can't deny that it happened. I can't deny that I have a thing, right? Let's say I have some kind of medical concern, right? My fiance is type 1 diabetic. He can't deny that. He hasn't fully accepted it, though. He's had it for 30 years. And that holds him back. We can allow these things to hold us back. Because there's another level of freedom. There's another level of creation. There's another level of gratitude when we accept it. Because if that assault didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead. I wouldn't have my son. I wouldn't have met my fiance. I wouldn't be doing work that now gets to help other women step out of their pain. I've had people reach out to me and thank me for getting them through the darkest time of their life. If I wasn't here, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be doing this work. I would still be working at One Way Furniture. I was laid off from there, but I would still be working in customer service, corporate jobs, miserable, not happy. Because it took me accepting what happened and saying, although I wouldn't choose it again, I get to choose something different now. Ooh, I wish I would stop being so independent, so nervous about letting someone in. I get that. It's hard. Hyper independence is they say it's a trauma response. And the thing is I wish I could stop being so independent. So, how can you reframe that? So nervous about letting someone in. Scary to let people in sometimes. I get that. Get that a lot, right? Hyper independence, they say, is a trauma response because we don't. I'm trying to think of how I want to say it. We don't trust that the other people will be there for us, right? Or at least from my experience, right? Because I was hyper independent for the longest time ever. And when I got to the bottom of it, it was a fear of abandonment, a lack of trust, and I still wrestle with letting some people in. So I get that. Because again, there's levels to things, right? And the more we grow and shift and change, the more those levels shift and grow and change with us, right? But when we're so independent and we have people around us, like our family and friends, our spouses, our children, and we don't let them help, we don't invite them in, we kick them out. We're kicking them out. We're shutting the door in their face. We're stealing the opportunity from them to feel like they're needed, like they're significant in our lives. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, well, I don't want them to feel like that. Because I can't trust that they can do it the way I want it done. Why does it have to be done the way I want it done? Can it be done some other way? Can't their way be just as good? Well, because they'll just leave me anyway. And if they do, so what? It's hard. It's not fun, but goodbye. Then we can shut the door. But while they're there wanting to be there and we're shutting the door in their face, right? Then they're looking through the people. What's going on over there? I can't do anything. And then they get frustrated and then they get upset. I had a client who had this specific example in her life. So I had a client, excuse me, my throat and from talking and being sick and things. So I had a client who was hyper independent. She's in marriage for over 30 years. They were struggling. And she wouldn't let him help. I give him things to do and he doesn't do them. So I just do everything myself. I get that. Because it's easier if I just get it done myself. It gets done the way I want it to be done. It gets done now. It gets done. Whatever. It makes me, like, I feel complete. It's an I thing, right? It all comes back to the I am. But when I said to her, I was like, well, if you don't give him a list of things to do anymore, then he doesn't feel really significant in your life. Because you don't need him. I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. But we're in marriages. But you don't need him. And you see how that's conflicting. It doesn't make sense. Our communication is not on par. We're hiding things in that. What we're really saying is just like, I don't trust that you'll actually get it done and do it the way that I want to do it. And because I have serious trust issues from when I was younger, I'm not going to ever trust you the way I truly need to. And well, that's not going to make someone feel good, is it, if you said it like that? So we just say, I'll do it. I do it myself. And they're like, okay, whatever. Right? And then they get frustrated and they walk away. She never lets me help her with anything. She never lets me do anything in the house. Why am I even here if you don't need me? Now they don't feel significant. Now they don't feel needed. And we steal that from them. We steal the opportunity from our children to learn when we do everything for them. It's one thing. Parenting, I see. I do everything for my kids. Me too, including making them do their chores, making them clean up after themselves, making them learn how to live, not doing everything for them. I had one of my son's friends come over. He's, can you help me with my jacket? Can you get me my drink? Can you do this? I'm like, you're like 9 years old. Why am I basically like babying you right now? And I was like, well, how does it make you feel? And he's like, I'm like, do you want to do that? His face. He had no idea how to respond. I don't think I should answer that. I'm like, no, you should, because you should be able to speak your opinion and your wants and your needs. We are not helping them. We are doing a disservice to everyone around us when we alienate them, when we're so independent that we don't need anyone else. And I'm not trying to go in on you, Susan, but this is something, I hope that this helps, right? We've all done this. I've done this so much. But when I push, whether it be my son or my spouse or my friends away, they're going to stop asking because you don't need me. They don't feel significant. They don't feel needed. And they're going to go find people who make them feel those things because it's a basic human need that we feel significant and needed in our lives. And we feel loved. And we feel like mommy's proud. Mommy thinks I can do it. Mommy knows I can do it. Mommy trusts me. Mommy needs me. And then all of a sudden, they're taking more self-responsibility. All of a sudden, they want to do these things. All of a sudden, they're doing things without you asking. You're like, did he just take out the garbage? What just happened? I get so excited. When my fiance and my son do things without me having to ask, I'm like, they did it? And I'm like, now I get to breathe for a minute. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Because that's how I'm an acts of service kind of love person, y'all. So when they do those things without me having to prompt them, without me having to make a list, it's amazing. And then they feel so accomplished. They feel like they did something. They feel like they contributed. They feel significant. And I'm like, I see you. That's amazing that you did that. The house looks so great. Not thanks for helping me, because we all live here. We're a family, right? I'm not about that whole like it's mom's job to do everything in the world. No. I'm like, thank you for making our house look so great. Thank you for taking out the garbage. Now the house doesn't smell. We don't have to deal with that anymore. Not because it was my job to do it. Because I can take out the garbage better than anybody. No. Right? Because I'm so afraid to ask for help and be vulnerable, that makes me look weak. It's not weak to ask for help. It's strength, because it takes you so much more to pull from when you ask for help, doesn't it? Which is your strength. It makes you stronger asking for help. When people think that you're weak because you ask for help, or people think that you're weak because you're nice, it takes so much out of me to be nicer to people who don't deserve it. I can simply be like everyone else and be like, well, you should just be grateful. That's not the nice thing to say. That's not being nice. That's backhanded compliments, right? That's saying things without saying things. That's miscommunication. That's shoving things in people's face. There's nothing nice about that. For me to be nice and say, I'm sorry that you're experiencing that. I can't imagine how that feels. Empathy takes strength and understanding and seeing someone, no matter their position or yours. Asking for help takes strength. It doesn't make you weak. I thought it made me weak when I asked for help. That was part of my limiting beliefs back in the day. That I'm like, if I ask for help, I'm a weak person. No. I'm stronger because, one, I'm more self-aware of where I need the help. Right? I have the mindset to know that I can't do it on my own. Right? And I'm building the habits of saying it's okay that I do this and I ask you to do that. And that was a tangent. But I hope that helps. Because when I stop trying to be so independent, I allow growth in my son. I allow my husband to feel like he's significant in my life. And back to my client who would do everything herself. 1 week, I said, just roll with me here. Just try it. Make him a list. A list of things that you might necessarily like, the easy things, right? Let's keep it easy for them, right? Because we're just starting to ask for help and they're just starting to help us, right? Keep it easy. Don't remind them, don't anything. Just put the list there. Hey, and let them know, hey, I made a list of things that I would really like your help around the house with. I put it on the board there. Let me know if you have questions. And just observe what happens. Just see what happens. In my client's experience and in my experience, I have stuff on the board right at my house right now that is now permanently there. Her husband gladly started doing things on that list because he saw her constantly going out to work, doing the thing. She's tired. I see my wife and I want to help her, but she doesn't let me help. But now she just created this list. What is this? Okay. He did the garbage. He did this. He did that. And he came to her. I did all these things. And she's like, I know. And he's like, ah. And they're like, this is amazing. And it shifted the dynamic of their relationship. They've been married for almost 40 years. He started helping and she started having more time to decompress and feel better and not feel so stressed, which means she got to be nicer and kinder and more patient with him, right? And their relationship changed. And they started liking each other more again and started communicating better. And 3 weeks into this, his cancer came back. And she needed to be able to support him in that. And she was able to. And she's like, if I hadn't have done that a few weeks ago, if I hadn't have done that simple thing of writing him a list, she wouldn't have had created that space during those few weeks to feel better, to feel, right? To release all those things that she needed to release because something much bigger was coming that she was going to need to be ready for. And she was ready for it because she asked for help back then. And now him doing the things around the house didn't cause that to come back, right? He was in remission. There's a whole thing there. However, she was much better able to stand up and be there for her people. Like we always say, I do everything for my family, everything for my kids, I do it all. But you don't really do it all. You pretend like we do it all. And we really just guilt and shame ourselves, right? If we were doing it all, we'd be healing ourselves. We'd be speaking up about how we truly feel. We'd be communicating, right? We'd be having conversations. We'd be moving. We'd be making things better, not making things harder. Because she could have kept quiet. She could have not said anything and she would have been just as drained and exhausted and tired and stressed out as she was in that session when all of a sudden now she got a new diagnosis and now has to support her husband through something so hard in that state. Do you think that would have went well for her? Do you think he would see her in that state and maybe he would hold back even in his space? Of he just got this huge saying, right? Like he just got told that his cancer's back. He has to hold that. And he has to now hold watching his wife be stressed and destroyed in the process. Right? We have to zoom out of our perceptions, right? Take our eye out of the peephole and look back and be willing to turn around and say, I'm done holding up the walls. I'm done not asking for help anymore. I'm done not letting anyone in. Because it's exhausting, y'all. And when we do these things, it allows us to move into our next piece, which is creating our future while staying grounded. Because when we practice these things and we have these conversations and we feel the feels and we do the things, and we do everything for our family, we get to accept and create, right? Accept while creating. We get to take action without attachment. Meaning, she took that action, right? She created the list and was like, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you didn't do the list yet. You didn't do this yet. You didn't do this yet. Why didn't you do it? I'm just going to do it. No, I told her, no, no. You're going to make this list for him, and you're going to walk away, and you're going to be okay with things not getting done, which is why we picked easy things, that it was okay. If they didn't get done, she was okay with it, right? It's okay. It's fine. But just let's see how this works. Let's experiment a little. Let's get curious, right? We take the steps forward without attaching or tying our self-worth to the outcome. Well, he didn't do any of those things, so he doesn't care about me, and I must not be good enough for him. What? Right? My self-worth is then attached to that action. Accept action, right? Taking the action without attaching our self-worth, our value. You know why I'm saying that? To the outcome. Because I can put my offer out into the world as a business person, and I can invite them in. But them saying no means more about them than it does anything about me. And yeah, maybe there's things that I have to work on. Maybe there's actions I have to put into place. Maybe there's things I have to get clear about and communicate better for them to be willing to say yes. However, them saying no doesn't mean that what I'm offering isn't valuable. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of love because my husband doesn't take out the trash, right? Or I'm not good enough. He must not care about me enough because he doesn't help me around the house. No, there's so much more to these things, my friends. But when we take the moment to breathe, right, to regulate, and notice, I'm going to take an action, and I'm not going to put any judgment on it. I'm going to make him a list of things I'm okay with them not getting done necessarily, right? Little things, and see if he does them. Put them up there and ask him to do them. I'm going to ask, I'm not going to put it there and not have a conversation. That's not what we're doing, right? I'm going to put it up there and say, hey, I put up a list on the board of a few things that I need you to get done around the house. If you could do it, that'd be so helpful. Thank you. I love you. We're going to walk away and we're going to watch. No, we're going to go do what we got to do, right? But I have no attachment to him not getting those done. I'm not going to make him the villain, and I'm not going to make myself unworthy in the process. And in those little steps, in those micro steps, micro momentum is what we're creating, right? Those small daily shifts, they help you create a more empowering state. I did the list. I did this for him. I asked for help. I had the conversation. This is amazing. And from that state, we get to create something different. No matter the circumstances, kindness counts every time. Absolutely. But it's not always, right? But it's not always easy to choose kindness, right? Kindness counts every time. It absolutely does. But there are moments when your family and your friends are driving you nuts and everything is falling down around you, and you being kind might not be an option in that moment. We got to be real with ourselves. Right? Because if we're just saying, I'm just going to be kind, I'm just going to be grateful for what I have, we're avoiding the real truth. We're pretending. And I hate fake it till you make it. I'm all about absolutely choosing kindness. Absolutely. But that is also a choice that I make. And it's not always simple. It's not always easy. And it's not always my first go-to. Right? But it's so true. No matter my circumstances, kindness every time. Love every time. Yes. It's not always easy. And that's when these moments, when I have to accept while creating, come into play. Because it's not always easy. And sometimes hearing those things and making those choices is not easy. Right? So we have to create the action without the attachment. Just because maybe I didn't choose kindness in this moment doesn't make me a horrible person for the rest of my life. Just because I didn't choose kindness when someone spit in my face doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me human. And I get to give myself grace and compassion and forgiveness. I get to accept that I could have acted a little differently in this moment. And I'm creating something new out of that. And in taking that action of, instead of berating myself and degrading myself and making myself feel guilty and shameful and sinful and all these things, only carries on the negativity and the evil, which is then winning, not me, not the love, not the kindness. That's not winning in that moment, me faking it. I love when you spit on me. No, no one loves to be spit on, right? You should be grateful. No, right? But I also get to recognize what's happening. I get to recognize that there's someone else in this process. I also get to choose my response, regulate myself, and come from a better place and know that I'm not always going to have the wherewithal to do it. Because sometimes we're overstimulated and stressed out and overthinking and unhappy and not taking care of ourselves and doing it all ourselves. And that creates a cycle. And if you've ever seen a ball spinning, right? If you imagine an energy spinning and you throw something at it, it's going to get kicked back, right? That's what ends up happening. But maybe if we reach out and have those small little tasks, right? And those small daily shifts, and we create from those little empowered spaces, right? We stay grounded in the moment and know that I'm not always going to be perfect, because it's literally not even a thing to be able to do. I'm not always going to be nice. I'm not always going to be patient with my kid. I'm not always going to choose love over hate. I'm going to hate something, and that's okay. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to choose it again. But I do have to accept my circumstances and say, this is what happened. These are the facts. This is the situation, right? And I get to take action in this moment without attachment, without it meaning something about anything down the line, right? I get to take a micro moment, micro momentum, small step, one shift, and create that empowering step, right? And create that empowering state. And give myself self-compassion along the way and grace along the way to know that I'm not a perfect parent. I yell at my kid. He drives me insane sometimes. I love him so much. I would do anything for him, include work on my own patience and anger and responses and healing. Because sometimes we respond from a place of our hurt, not our current situation, right? And I'm creating something different in that space. But there are times when something happens to us, and it could be someone gives you a look, someone says something, a boss does something, someone's looking, whatever the case might be, they do something, and we respond from a place of the past. A different version of us. Not from the now version, here, right now, who we are, in a grounded state, and saying, they gave me a look. I get to make that mean something different, right? I get to give myself compassion to say, in the past, that really hurt me because I was hurt in the past. Right? And I get to look at them and say, I wonder, get curious about other people. I wonder how they're judging themselves if they're judging me, because we have to judge others before we judge ourselves. When we judge someone else, you don't do that without previously judging yourself first, whether you're aware of it or not. Whether you want to accept that or not, it's your choice. I wouldn't wear that. How could she wear that? Because I wouldn't wear that. Why wouldn't you wear that? Right? It all comes back to the I am. And we have to, show ourselves self-compassion. And we also do have to create boundaries, right? The places we go, the people we hang out with, the things that we do, taking care of ourselves. We have to have these things in place. Right? Our habits create our future. Small, consistent actions shape the reality that we are creating, that we'll experience as we move forward, right? The key is taking action from a place of acceptance, not desperation. A place of acceptance, not disappointment. A place of acceptance, not discouragement. Because if I create from discouragement, and it falls on its face. I wonder why. And then I just keep that cycle going and going and going. It's like in the stairwell where we were stuck on one flight, just running around, right? Our habits create our future in every shape and form, physical, mental, spiritual, all of it. This is why my frameworks include science and faith, right? Awareness, our mindset, our habits. So what I want you to work on, as we're wrapping this up, because I know we've gone over time, as we're wrapping this up, let's see. Before I wrap up, hold on. I have more of that open. I need you with Barry. Now to go further with him and take that and expand out further. Okay, I love that. I'm glad that you're willing to. We can have whatever conversations you might need as well. Keep in mind, since you're in Resilience Rising, right, you have those group sessions. That's why God gives us grace. So why wouldn't we give grace to ourselves? Oh, absolutely. Right? And a friend of mine from a group that I'm in, so I'm in a group at church, and what did she say? How did she say it? Let me see if I can pull it up really quick, because I think I took it in my notes. Oh no, I slacked her. Hold on. She wrote me this big thing. We've been having some deep conversations in this group, right? And me and her have been going back and forth, and I love our conversations. And so what'd she say? She said, oh, I didn't respond to that part yet. Okay. So now that I see it, I'm like, okay, it doesn't necessarily quite apply. However, here it is, right? So God gives us grace, right? Whatever you believe in, right? There's grace, there's forgiveness, there's compassion out there, right? We were given this, right? A person. When was he born? I don't know. 2,000 years ago, right? He died for this. He died to give you that grace. He died to give you that compassion. He died to give you that forgiveness. So a person died to give that to you, and you still hold on to it. So what she had said in here, just to give it context, to walk in shame is to carry a weight Jesus died to take from you. So no matter what you believe, my friends, if a family or friend or yourself, you would die for your children, you would die, right? You'd take a bullet for someone. Think about this. If someone were to do that for you and you still held on to it, that's like spitting in their face. That's extreme, right? How dare you? Right? It's just like, how dare you be so independent that you make everyone in your life feel insignificant and unneeded. There's a woman. She's got some control issues. She wants help. She asks for help. But then she goes around redoing everything that everyone does for her. And I'm like, well, now I don't want to help you anymore, because it just feels like everything I do for you is not enough. So why bother? Right? That doesn't feel good either. We have to be so aware, my friends. This is why I teach these things, so that we can do this together. Right? If your friends or family died for you and they did this for you and they gave it up and then you went back to it again, their sacrifice was for nothing. I'm like, I was just telling my girls in the group last night, I'm the first woman born in my family for 70 years on my father's side. I'm not going to squalor that. Right? So much has happened in my world. And my family's generational, right? Generationally has happened for me to be here right now. My grandmother had to pass away in her 30s. My mother had to lose her mother at 16. In order for me to be here right now. And how dare I just let that go and let that mean nothing, because I should be here and I should be that and I wish I could do this, but but grace, but compassion, but acceptance. All the things you so willingly give to everybody else, but refuse to give to yourself. And I have a conversation with this woman again in the group, and she said, well, God gave me forgiveness. He gave you forgiveness, right? And whatever, right? Someone can forgive you for something. And maybe some of you have been forgiven by someone. But what is it going to take for you to forgive yourself? What is it going to take for you to give yourself that grace? Because you holding on, oh, this is perfect, because you holding on to that rope, right? You holding on to it. If you weren't here in the beginning, go rewatch it. You holding on to that creates, right? That red, that blood, that struggle, that stress, the hard, right? Picture the rope again from the beginning, what we were talking about, our visual, right? That's all it does. I just keep holding on. But sometimes when we release and let go and accept that I don't have to be the one holding the rope all the time, the blood comes back. The wounds can heal. The hand can get feeling again. It can move again. It can take an action. It can take a step. It can create that micro momentum. It can show compassion and grace for myself, just like I do for others. Every moment that we're in, we're creating our future. But if I choose to constantly stay in a negative, in the what ifs, in the past, I'm only creating more of that in the future. And then we look back a year later, why have I not gotten anywhere? Because you haven't gone anywhere. Because you've stayed in the same place. Because you've resisted the entire time. You know those doors in the buildings that kind of just revolve? You're just revolving. And then you come out in the same place. What do you mean? Because you didn't go through the door and walk and take the elevator up and do the work and hit the button and go up the stairs, take the steps. You didn't do that. You just kept revolving. Well, what if, what happened? I've been hurt. I've been this, but I, right? But and should and could and pain and this. We revolve and revolve and revolve. And then we wonder why when we get out, we're dizzy and we're like, I'm still where I've been this whole time. But if we stop moving in that picture of the revolving door, we stop moving, we're going to get hit with the door in the front or the back. We're going to wake up and go, what am I doing in this box? And we're going to push the door. We're going to see the opening and we're going to step out and realize, oh, there's a whole nother world here, right? I've accepted where I'm at. And now I get to look at what's being created in front of me, right? So what I want y'all to do this week is I want y'all to identify one small habit that supports both acceptance and creation. And here's an example. Okay? I'm going to put that in the chat real quick. There's your assignment for this week, this month really, because it's our monthly training, right? And it's going to take some time, okay? Identify one small habit that supports both acceptance and creation. I get to accept where I'm at while wanting more. Yes, and. Yes, and. And I get a backpack, and I fill it with my yes, ands, and I get to keep on moving with my backpack. Maybe I need a luggage at this point. Maybe I need a storage container. That's okay too, right? Example, start each morning with, I'm exactly where I need to be, and I'm growing every day. It's a beautiful way to start your morning. All right, I start my morning thanking God for being alive. Thank you so much for waking me up and refreshing me and renewing me and giving me a new chance to try again. Thank you. And then I get up. Very simple, 30 seconds. Say whatever you want, whatever your belief might be, right? Say it. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I'm growing every day. And I'm learning, right? And I'm taking steps. And that's exciting because that is going to lead me to something newer and better. And I don't got to like all the things. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this, but I do like that. And I like that. And I like that. And I don't like that. And I get to move through the process that way. Yes, and no, and yes, and no, and have fun with it. You get a car. You get a car. You get a one. So I would love for you to just take a moment. Let me know. Do you have a question? Do you have a comment, a takeaway, a thought, an insight? Share them in the comments below. Because my final thought to this, and I hope that you hear this, is that the key to transformation is not choosing between acceptance and growth. It's learning to live in the end. Living in the end, right? In the meantime. And if you want to catch that little conversation I had, it's on my main page, I believe. I don't know if I shared that in the group. But how you live in the meantime matters so much more than where you were and where you're going. I'm becoming this beautiful person. Every day, in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger, and I'm becoming that amazing person that I envision on the board. But right now, I'm here. And the transformation is not choosing between acceptance and growth. It's a yes and. I get to accept and grow. It's learning to live in the and. So we have gone very far over than what I had planned originally, but that's okay. What I want to take the moment to do is so that if you love this training and you want to go deeper, right? I can still support you, and I am here for you, and you have options, okay? This work is beautiful work, and I love doing it, and you get to have someone to hold your hand on the way. For so long, I wish I had someone to hold my hand, and I didn't. But this is why I do what I do. So if you want to go deeper, and you want support, you can type in a few options in the chat, or you can DM me, whatever you're more comfortable with. You have one-on-one coaching, which is perfect for women, for you ladies, who want personalized support and balancing this acceptance and creation at the same time, right? The living in the and. So you can comment one-on-one, or you can DM me. There's limited spots for one-on-one. Okay? Second option, if you're looking for a community and you love seeing other people in here commenting and you feed off of that, then that's great. You're going to drop pre-list because in May, we're going to begin another round of Resilience Rising, which is the group coaching program where I teach my I Am framework that this comes from. I have some ladies that are going through it right now, and we're 3 weeks in, and you can tell the difference. You can see them shifting and growing and moving. So drop pre-list if you would like to be in that type of atmosphere. And for someone who's just not maybe ready for any of those, and maybe you just want quick support and accountability, you're going to drop in the comments text. You're going to get daily, weekly support, right? Motivation, accountability, guidance right from your phone via text and voice messages. So you have one-on-one, pre-list, which is the group, or text that you can drop. There are options. Why? Because when I was going through this in the beginning of my journey, I needed options. I wasn't fully ready for one thing, but I wanted support. So I want to make sure that there's options available. And there are. My websites are down. I'm struggling with some tech. Okay, I have some websites that are up. My main website is down right now. It's being constructed. It's being worked on. It's being all kinds of weird things, right? So reach out to me. Comment below. Reach out to me. DM me. Let me know what's going on, and I'll support you. Now, after this call, we're going to sign off, and we're going to go into the group, and we're going to have a deepening and a Q&A. So these are for the clients who have said yes to themselves, said yes to investing in themselves, and moved forward and said yes to one of these options. They get to now go deeper and ask their questions in another chat. So if you want to be there, say yes. Comment. DM me. Let me know right now. I'll let you in. You'll get that. And we'll get you set up for whatever thing you choose. Okay? Let me know what I could do to help. Stop being so hard on yourself. Work on truly accepting and creating at the same time. And moving in that. Creating that micro momentum. Right? Reframing. And this. And this. And I don't have to feel guilty about it. Right? Because our awareness, our mindset, and our habits create our world. And if we're not mindful of it, we can very quickly, unintentionally create a world that we're stuck in, we're confused about, we're not happy in. And how did we get here? And we ask ourselves things like what we started with. Of how could I have done all of this work, still feel stuck? I love you all so much. I hope that this was incredible and that you loved it, that you got something out of it. Please, please, please drop your takeaways, your insights, what your next step is going to be. Decide today that you're going to take a next step for yourself. Whether it be one-on-one, the pre-list, or text. Or maybe you're not ready for those, and you're just going to focus on taking the action, right? Of identifying one small habit that supports both acceptance and creation, and how you're going to implement that into your life this month. And what you're going to do to be in this group and stay connected and be in the community so that you can get the support that you need. Because it's not easy to make changes. But you don't have to do it alone. And when one rises, we all rise. So I love you all. Happy February. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. And if you are part of, I would say, the VIP group, right? If you're a part of Resilience Rising, join me for the deepening and Q&A right after this. I'm going to close this. I'm going to hop in there, answer any questions that you have. I would love to help you, share with you, deepen this for you so you can really embody it. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see y'all later.